Wander to remember the lost art of letting curiosity lead.
Today on the Wandering But Not Lost podcast.
And now your host, Jen O'Brien and Matt Emerson. Welcome everyone to the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast. This is episode 374. You can find all the show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. Jen O'Brien, I love this topic, and I'm looking forward to chatting about it today. I'm going to let you just go. Fun. Yeah.
You know, this is just us, isn't it? We're wanderers, after all. The whole company is over the idea of, be forever wandering, but not lost, and all these deeper things we're talking about. But when was the last time you let yourself get a little lost? On purpose. That's where we're going to start today, because we want to explore one of the most powerful and underutilized tools for growth, and we believe it's curiosity. You have had conversations with me about this idea of curiosity. I just absolutely love that that's the word we're choosing here.
Yeah,
we're cool. Talking about wandering with intention, about honoring the detours, those things that can happen along the way, and about remembering. I almost jumped into the story, but I know it's going to come up, like the thing about us, of me discovering this part about you, and about remembering who you really are by letting go of who you thought you had to be. That's what it's about. Let go of the pressure. It's about you remembering who you are and what you're here to do. So let this episode help you understand this, that curiosity really can lead to let you reconnect with your own purpose, your creativity, for your soul path to realign with your soul's GPS. Woo!
Love it.
Using that big word right now.
That's cool.
Especially if you're feeling a little stuck, burnt out, or uncertain lately. Not all who wander are lost, but sometimes you have to wander to remember. And everything I just said in that opening is really the entire, genesis and inspiration for why we created the Clarity series.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the Clarity series real quick?
I would love to. The Clarity series, we're a little over halfway. We're 2/3 of the way through the creation of the Clarity series. The first it's a 3-part series. The first module dropped last month. It was called Rooted in the Unknown. It had a lot of breath work, meditation, reflection type of stuff to really kind of get in and kind of figure out what the heck's going on, with your inside you. Module 2, which just dropped last week, is called Aligned in the Everyday, and we take that a little step farther. Talk about ways you can kind of get aligned in the morning, in the middle of your day, and then have that little evening recap and prep for the next day. All audios, videos, downloads, just filled with information for you to walk through the process, but all very unoverwhelming and very easy to actually practice and to bring into your life. And then Mod 3 is going to drop towards the end of August, and that's called Ignited with Purpose, which is going to kind of tie it all together and show how you can get out there and make it all happen. You can find the Clarity series over at wanderingbuttnotlost.com or WBNLcoaching.com. Go to either of those two websites, go to our courses tab, and you will find the course up there. The course currently is priced at $33. With that $33, you get Mod 1, Mod 2, and the upcoming Mod 3. And of course, anything else that happens after that, who knows where we might be adding to it down the line. So you'll get all that for just $33. If you do happen to wait until Mod 3 drops, that price is going to go up to $44. So it's not breaking the bank type of savings here, but you know what? A little bit of savings is going to be a little bit of savings. I can tell you that is something we should all be. I'm sure we all are kind of looking at our finances lately.
We're literally talking about less than one breakfast or lunch anymore.
True.
Outside. Definitely less than a dinner.
It's Yeah, definitely that, about the same price as
not less than a dinner. What am I saying? Oh, yeah, our course is less than a dinner, but I almost feel like it's less than even going to a lunch anymore or dinner. I mean, a breakfast sometimes costs more than $33. So.
Fascinating. Because you can go to a drive-thru now where it used to be the $1 meal. You can go and get the $10 meal.
Exactly. Not much on the dollar menu anymore. Definitely not anything that's good for you.
Exactly.
All right. Let's dive in. Let's dive into wandering with purpose.
But we digress. I love this topic because the detour is the destination. You need to be thinking about that. Growth rarely happens when you're out on the highway, right? It happens when you get off the main road onto the scenic route. I talk about this a lot. When we take the turn that we actually didn't plan for. These analogies, we're going to be using a lot of wandering analogies, a lot of hiking, a lot of road trip analogies today because they fit so well into this topic. So I've always called this the road less traveled, and they are always the best route. Always the best route. I don't want to digress too much because this is the kind of conversation we could get on this thing. I could talk for 3 days. Most people, though, resist detours because they fear they're wasting time, they're losing momentum, or they have that self-imposed pressure to stay on track or to get something done in a certain amount of time. So a lot of people will shy away from taking that off ramp. But in reality, detours are often exactly what the soul needs. Sometimes the most direct path is not the most aligned one. We talk about alignment, but sometimes a little zig and a zag is what you need to kind of keep going, right? So I can probably give you hundreds of examples of how I've done this while I've actually been out wandering on the road or on the trail. But regarding life decisions, I have a very consistent path. Throughout our lives, we're often faced and, find ourselves in that fork in the road, and where you have to make a decision and, of which path you're going to take. And without fail in my life, I almost always have taken that road less traveled, the one that felt a little bit uncertain, the one that had really the most risk. When I am at that point where I am making those life decisions, I typically just throw caution to the wind and move down the harder path. It has worked for me for the most part. It doesn't work every single time because that's just not the way life works. But when I look back at those decision points or those big things in my life that have moved me in a different direction, they were never the easy path. They were always what you would consider the detour from what you're doing right now. And quite frankly, it's led me where I am now. So I would say,
and because you consciously chose that, though, you to your point of that fork, it's like go with what you know and you can be comfortable with, or go get out of your comfort zone, which is where the growth happens, which is where all the discovery happens, right? Isn't that the truth?
Absolutely. It's funny. There was a time I was working at a real estate company here in Orange County, and I was kind of tapped. And this has happened to you a lot too, Jan, and tapped to do, move into different positions and kind of either help them out or fill a vacancy or do something where I'm moving into a place that isn't exactly, wasn't my career path, you know what I mean? But I was moved in those positions. And there was a time where in a span of 1 year, I got moved into these positions. I also analyzed those positions and eliminated all 3 of those positions. So it was funny. People are like, you're getting another job. When are you going to fire yourself from that job? You know what I mean? It came to be kind of a little bit of a joke, but you can find out a lot by going down a different path and kind of seeing what's going on. So it's just interesting how things can work out.
And I just got to share this one little story that really had a major impact. That Matt had a major impact on me in this. Let me just explain it, and then I think it'll make sense what I'm trying to say. So Matt is very comfortable. We were in Orange County and I forget what we were doing, or we might've been working at
we were going to a meeting, actually.
We were going to a meeting.
Yeah.
And I discovered this thing about Matt where I'm big about using a map. It came in with the military, I like it from flying. Like I like to see where things are and know where I'm going and study the map. And Matt does that too. He studies the map of where he's going to go. But what happened was we took a wrong turn, and I was like, well, let me just put it in the GPS. It's like, no. He was very calm, and it was like, no, this is cool. This happens. I like when this happens. I know, and he knows he's lived there for so long. He knows where he's going and all that. And I had to go through. I was having a little anxiety of like, well, why wouldn't he just want to go and get back on track? And it's like he taught me a powerful lesson that day that lives with me. That when I now have that, I think of whenever I make a turn. because you know how you're driving and you're lost in whatever you're talking about. Maybe that's what happened. We were talking and then you just didn't turn the right spot or whatever. That happens to me a lot. And I'll have a memory back to when that happened. And I'm like, oh, let me just go see where this path takes me. And inevitably, even here in Vegas, all the times I've been, I took a wrong turn. I didn't follow the GPS, and I discovered something I never knew was there. Yeah. Matt has been on the phone with me when some of these things have happened and I've missed a turn. But you know what I'm saying? That is how you always are. And you just explained part of your philosophy of life that day going, no, trust me on this. This is where you really get a lot of cool things and you discover a lot of stuff. And this is where a lot of interesting things and piques your curiosity and all the things that we're talking about, and where you might discover some things or learn something or grow, right? And just the physicalness of that description, take that on a higher level and you understand that if you get out of your comfort zone, that's
that's what
you start really having the amazing things.
I actually love being on the phone with Jan O'Brien. It's kind of a fun thing because I couldn't say this happened a dozen times because it's happened many, many dozens of times since I've known Jan. You're talking to her and you'll hear, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And that is I've just missed my exit or
but then no worries, there's an easier way to get back around. Let me see what I'm going to discover.
But that's the thing. At first it was I got to recalibrate, I've got to think about what's happening. And now Jan, when she says she'll do the but then it's all like, well, gotta figure out how to get back around now. You know what I mean?
I try to exude that calm of there's a reason I'm going this way now. So let me go discover what that is. What am I supposed to remember?
The situation still very much occurs, but how she reacts to the situation has completely changed. And that's what this is all about.
I mean, honestly, and you can be in the energy of anxiety, like I described, or just go with the flow. All right, so I love it, right? So, when we're and let's bring it back to this purpose and kind of remembering, what this is really what we're so excited to launch this module 3. This is going to be a really great finale to the first 2 parts that we did. We'll get you ready to do the module 3, and I think it's important you have to go through module 1 and 2 so you can get in the right space to do this. But when we're disconnected from our purpose, everything feels really heavy. Right? Mm-hmm. Internally, you just sort of know I'm not in the right space, or I'm not on the right path, and I'm not quite sure how to get there, or I'm not really sure how many of us, I know there's something more to this job I'm doing, or, I think we all have had this, or if you're younger and listening, maybe it hasn't happened to you yet, but there will come a time where you're like, there's got to be something more, right? Or maybe you're lucky and you're just 100% dialed in and aligned with what you're here to do as your purpose. Whatever, it's all good for whatever everybody's scenario is. But when you have curiosity and when you really allow the curiosity in yourself to spark, that's what can reignite the fire within you, right? It's this portal to remembrance. So here's some signs you're disconnected from your path, okay? And I just said them, but I said a few, but I'll say them in other words. Burnout, boredom, bored. You're apathetic, you're irritable, or you just have a sense of dread. Anybody been there before? Hopefully not recently, or if you are, then maybe that's what's going on. You're disconnected from what your true purpose is, right? So ways to follow curiosity. Ask yourself a couple questions. What am I naturally drawn to right now? And some keys to that, some signs could be, what are you listening to? What are you reading? What kind of social media are you following? What are you drawn to certain things on TV? That'll help you, because honestly, that analogy is if you just pay attention to what you're reading to, listening to, watching on TV media, and it's darker and heavier, but that's the sign.
Yeah, no kidding. That's really good.
I'm picking things that are on my various streaming channels that are in line with the things that I want to know, and they feel better. I don't want to watch horror and violence and crazy stuff,
Except for Stranger Things.
But I like that. That's a little, there is some violence in there, but it's also, there's some themes in there that I really particularly like. And I did recently, because I never really watched it in the beginning, and I did binge that show.
Sorry, didn't mean to call you out.
That's okay, but it's not. There's stuff in there that completely is in alignment with.
I get it totally.
But of course, it's TV, and they have to have the sensationalism and all that, right, to make it scary monster. What topics, ideas, and places have been calling you? Well, it's not surprising to Matt, or if you guys listen to me, have listened to us, what's calling to me, and I am almost going there soon, and I'm prepping for it, is a trip to Sedona. Okay, so, and I have some major intentions and things I'm going to be doing there. I'm so excited about it. What conversations that you've had are energizing you versus they're making you feel very heavy when you leave? What would I explore if I didn't need it to be productive? I love this question. So what would you explore? If so many of us, we talk about this all the time, stay in a space of, I must follow all the tasks that I have to do. I have to stay vigilant. I have to hustle. I have to work really hard because it's been indoctrinated us, especially in America. Yep. This is how you're supposed to live your life. This is how you show your value, right? Mm-hmm. So if something sparks your interest, follow it. Curiosity is soul breadcrumbing. So follow the trail. Follow the trail. Don't ignore it. And if you ignore it, don't worry, it'll come back again because your soul's trying to go, you ready to wake up a little bit? Do you want to remember what you're really here to do? Okay, apparently you're not. You want to go back to the grind and the hustle for another 5 or 10 years. Up to you. No judgment. Matt? Back to you, Matt.
And now back to you. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the wandering season, because sometimes life invites us into a season of stillness, maybe some softness, some exploration. And we call that the wandering season. It's a lovely season.
The wandering season.
Exactly. You're not broken if you don't know what's next, right? So just remember that. If you don't know what's next in your life, doesn't mean you're broken. Doesn't mean you've messed up, that you failed. You're not lost if you're between your chapters. It's so powerful to think about that. That is, your life is a book. And there are a lot of chapters in that book and a lot of stories within those chapters. Right?
It's exactly.
A movie. It is. All these have kind of tied.
And you're the hero of your journey.
Yes, it's interesting how that all works together, right?
There you go.
But anyway, you're not lost in between those chapters. So, and here are some signs you might be in your wandering season, right? And Jan just touched upon some of these things, right? You're dreading what you used to love. You feel like you're outgrowing your current path, your identity, and your goals. You're feeling the pull of something new, but you can't quite name it yet. That one happens a lot, I think, to it happens to me a lot. I'm sure it happens to a lot of people. Or maybe you're experiencing synchronicities calling you elsewhere from what the path that you're on right now. But you have to embrace the wandering season as sacred. It's really so important to identify all of that and let yourself be in that space. It's okay to be in that space. As a matter of fact, that's the space where you really do find your clarity and you find out maybe the path that you need to take. Maybe it's the one less wandered.
Yeah, I love it. And wandering really is like a cooler way to think about how to get still, meditation, if you will, so that you can slow down. And when you do it with intention and you can really start to touch that part of yourself, that soul part of yourself that is wanting you to remember more, and that you're not this, all these other things, these other titles we give ourselves. That's not really who we are at our core essence, right? So you don't always need a 5-year plan. I mean, that's what we're trying to say. Yes, of course, there's that pragmatic side of us that needs to live here in the world and the earth and have a game plan and pay the bills and all that. We're not saying abandon that and just go be, whatever. Maybe you do want to do that. There are people doing that. If you can find a way to make all that work, then call me and tell me, because I'm right there with you, brother or sister. Yeah. But what we're saying here is find the balance, that it's a delicate balance. You just don't need everything figured out. You just need to know what's the next aligned step. What's the next thing I'm going to do? Matt was just talking about synchronicities and cues, and if they keep popping up, or feelings, they could be things that are showing up. It's very interesting how our soul, if you will, or our higher self talks to us, or the part of you that's trying to wake up. And it'll just come in a song that you keep hearing, or a message, or somebody saying something to you, or a passage in a book, or a license plate. And you keep seeing similar things. That's the thing to say, okay, what's going on here? And then when you start to put your focus and attention on it, that's where this can really happen. And when you're wandering with intention, meaning like you're just going out and you don't have to go, I have to go from A to B to C, and just allowing things to happen, this is where it can come for you, right? So here's a couple. Again, we love to share prompts, and it's just about journaling, right? Or putting it into your AI, like, I have become aware that my living journal is, I do have a journal and I write things in my journal, but I also kind of have a living journal where I'll put a prompt in with my AI and just say, and let's have a conversation about this and get feedback and go back and forth and dig deeper. So you can do it either way, just stream of consciousness, get into some quiet space. I do it in the mornings. And or use your AI if you'd like. So what feels off that I've been ignoring? Okay. Where is life asking me to surrender or to explore? Again, it's like you're getting little attention gathering things and coming into your space, but you may or may not be aware or paying attention to it. As soon as you tune in, you'll start seeing more of it. And what would I do if I trusted my path more deeply? I just absolutely love that question. What would I do differently if I trusted my path very, very deeply and you didn't have self-doubt around it? So stillness, the stillness we're talking about, where you just, and breath work helps with it. We talk big in this module 1 and module 2 of Clarity series. Stillness is going to lead to that inner wisdom, but curiosity is going to lead you to your true clarity. And this is what this whole topic today is about. Wandering leads to remembering.
Yeah, that's really good. So let's take those questions that you just asked yourself or you just journaled about, and let's, put some practices to help you tune into that again. All right. So here's a couple of just practical ways you can tune into your inner compass. Go on a micro wandering trip. It doesn't have to be, for days. It doesn't even have to be for hours, quite frankly. It just can be a walk or a hike. And maybe you go to a new coffee house or a restaurant in your area. That's something different. That's kind of the point. Take a little different path. Go down a little, a different route, or a short road trip. That is the one that my wife and I do very, very frequently. And sometimes we will go to the same general location, but we always take a slight little detour when we're on that route. And it is, you get back from, 5-6 hours out on the road, and especially if it's a place that you love and there's beauty, and you're just really be able to kind of unwind. You can literally feel like you've been on a 2-week trip. It has that power of resetting you from where you might have been earlier that morning, or definitely, that previous day. It's awesome. And no matter where you are and what station in life you're in or what is happening, most people have the opportunity to go do something like that. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't even really cost a lot, except for maybe the gas you're putting in your car. But it's a great way to have a little reset. So that little micro wandering trip, if you're going to go on a short road trip, is a great idea. But like I said, you don't even have to do that. Just get out and just, do the walk like we talk about every single podcast because it's so easy and it's costs nothing to go do that. Maybe you just take a morning or evening sit. You have a little spot that you go do your sit. I know Jan just talked about that a second ago. She has her, the morning routine. I have a place in our house, this is better in the fall and the winter and spring. I like the weather better. It's not as warm, but often I will just go and sit in the morning, have a little cup of coffee without my phone, kind of thinking about the day. It's just like my little morning routine during that time of the year. And it makes a huge difference to do that. And there's something about a routine too. It's great to get off the path. Yeah. There's something about, just kind of having that routine that, this is your time to do that little reset.
I create a little space. I'm in a very small space, which has actually been very good for me to realize that you don't need a lot of space. But my patio, I kind of rearranged my patio to create one of those spaces that I like to go out to in the evening and sometimes in the morning.
That's nice.
Similar to what you've got at your place.
Yeah, you can write a letter to your future self. I've never tried that. Have you ever written a letter to yourself? You have? Has it been powerful?
It's very powerful, especially if you do it around this future visioning and so forth, and then open it up at a later date. It's really powerful. Like go put it away and then open it later. It's really a cool thing to do.
That's awesome. Try something creatively new just for the joy of actually doing it.
Yeah,
right?
man.
I know. That's kind of cool.
What creative things, there's so much that you've discovered about your creativity around marketing and designing things in Canva. Is there anything else that has come out of all of that?
No, I'll tell you something that when I saw that one, the first thing I thought of, and I did this not too long ago, getting to the patio, right? Well, I love to garden and we don't have a yard. We have 2 patios and then I have a ton of pots and I do a lot of it's funny how you can sometimes get a whole bags of stuff when you're cleaning out just your patio, when you're working and, pruning and clipping on your stuff. Anyway, I have a lot of plants. And I thought in our back patio earlier this year, I thought, you know what, this has looked the same for the longest time. Well, these are just pots. You can make it look any way you want to. So I redesigned that whole space. And it was fun to do. I was out there for hours working on it, and it was fun physical thing to be doing. It was fun to kind of go in and play with it and then go into the house and see what it looked like from different places in the house. It was all just about doing something different to that yard. And I haven't really enjoyed the final product. We had a house guest over last week and she was sitting there looking at in that yard. She goes,
great.
What is a beauty? Your yard looks better than it's ever looked. And I thought,
See?
Thank you very much.
So I have one to share before we kind of close out today. And as you know, I have really gotten into doing these bracelets. This is one of my creative outlets. So I was very much called because I had passed it twice. And I have a place in Henderson where I live in Vegas, Henderson, Nevada, the sister city to Las Vegas, and it was called Bead Jungle. And I'm like, I got to go by there. I got to stop in. So the other day, I knew I was going to be coming by it coming from a showing. And I pulled over and I went in and I discovered, I kind of knew because I checked them out online, they have all these amazing beading classes for jewelry making.
That's cool.
So not just this kind of bead making, but I'm so intrigued by that. And I met the nicest lady. I got a couple things I needed for my supplies and beads and findings, and I'm going to be signing up for classes there to learn other things, to expand, because I'm sort of self-taught on this.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I need to go learn. I mean, I've gotten to the level where I need some instruction and somebody to show me how to do things a little bit more complicated. So that's what I'm going to be doing.
That's cool. Hey, and if you're actually just sitting here thinking, well, I can't really think of anything that's going to really inspire me to, if you're stuck, and it was in the past, if you were stuck, you just, were stuck. But there's a helper out there right now if you are stuck and you can't think of things. And if you have explored or dipped your toe into the AI pool, you can just ask your AI, ask your chat, what question should I explore to realign with my purpose? That prompt right there is going to bring up a bunch of things that that will give you some ideas and some places that you can some touchstones that you might want to go out and do. Something like that can get your mind running. It can get your thoughts going and where you might want to go, and all you need is just one little spark.
And honestly, Matt and I are about to do the recordings for Module 3. So excited about some of the visioning stuff that's in here, about remembering what your purpose is. We have got some really in-depth prompts and ways to do it where you can do it with or without your AI. It's so exciting. It's very, very exciting. Yep. Demonstrations, we're going to show you how to use it so you really can dive into this purpose piece, okay? So everybody, you're not off track, okay? We keep saying that. You're not off track. You're on the scenic route. The soul is going to remember through experiences, right? Reflection and your curiosity, your willingness to go explore. Yep. You don't have to figure everything out to move forward. You just have to follow that little spark of creativity and curiosity.
That's right. So let this be your permission to pause, to explore, and to wander. And remember who you really are, because that's what it's all about. Your path will always find you if you slow down long enough to actually feel it.
Yay.
So, as we always say, share this episode with someone who needs a little reminder, that wandering is actually a sacred part of your life and something you should actually embrace and adopt. You can explore more tools for soul and alignment with the Clarity series, like Jan's been talking about. Module 3 is going to drop at the end of August, and you can find all that information, learn more about the Clarity series, sign up and get access to modules 1 and 2 right now over at wanderingbutnotlost.com or at WBNLcoaching.com. And at either website, just go up to our courses page and it'll take you right to the Clarity series right now, $33. Get in on that price, because when module 3 drops, the price goes up to $44 smackaroonies. So go check that today. And if you want more information, go over to our show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. This has been episode 374.
And remember, everybody, wander with curiosity, and wander so you can remember.
Ooh, I like that.
You'll never get lost.